hold on. I
Live.
need to get out of this place.
We are live.
We are live. Yes.
Let's wait for the viewers. We have 0 viewers right
Wait. So okay. But we can hear Mohana and all. They should not.
now. Mohan and Saranga.
People came live, came and they left. Nobody waits for 20 minutes. You need to send messages again.
Okay.
Let's start, man. Let people come. It's okay. We'll have the video at least if nobody watches. क्या कर रहा है आदित्य?
I'm typing the mail for everybody.
We're live. Let's just start. Don't do all this now.
All right.
Let others
Hi
do it.
everybody. Hi everybody. We are 7 people and 7 viewers down the line. Today I'm in conversation with the CEO of LawSikho and IT Leaders, Mr. Ramanuj Mukherjee. Hi Ramanuj. Welcome to an Hour with LawSikho.
Hi Aditya.
All right, Ramanuj. So today the viewers that we have are budding entrepreneurs, budding startup people, budding law firms, organization owners who have a bit of difficulty in recruiting, or let's say that when they recruit, they might not do as good a job. So we are going to address a lot of them. So let's start with the first question. And my first question is that when you start as a startup or when you start your own organization, then there are a lot of issues that you face to build a particular team, right? So tell us about how should a beginner start building his team for a startup or a law firm?
Right. So I think no matter what you do, whether you're running a law firm or you're starting a startup organization in any domain whatsoever, the first thing you do is that one of the first things you do is that you create usually a group of co-founders, right? So people with whom you share equity and share equal responsibility for building up a business. Now, I think hiring a co-founder is actually an easier job than finding your first few employees. It could be a lot of work. It's pretty much the same. When if you just go back to the time when you probably graduated, or at the go back to the time when you were joining a law school or joining any college, anybody who's here online, like whatever you may be doing, we have some fascinations about our career. There are certain things that we want to do in life, and a lot of times we attach huge value to what we are going to do, what kind of organizations we are going to work for. And it's probably nobody say that when I grow up I'm going to work for a startup. They might say that I'm going to start a startup, but that's different, right? Nobody says, hey, I'm going to work for a startup which has no employees. I'll be the first employee or the fifth employee, and I'm going to make this startup big. If you're going to do all of that, you might as well start your own startup,
That
right?
is true.
Why should you work for somebody? And nobody wants to do that. If you're going to be like maybe the first employee at a startup law firm, you may as well start something of your own, which is not true, but this is how somebody who's young will think. And even if not just young, as you grow older, you might want to do your own startup, but to work for a startup is not really considered a lucrative thing, right? You might opt for such things. You might work for a startup. It's not that you'll never work for a startup, but probably it's not the first choice that you'll have in matters of an organization that you want to work with. Another huge problem is that startups may not be able to give you glamour, money. What do people want when they want to work somewhere? They want glamour, they want money, they want to do fantastic work, they want brilliant training processes, they want fantastic co-workers. Now, these things usually do not happen so easily in a startup organization. Rather, it's probably not going to happen. Like, startups go through struggles and fights. And if I want to sum this up, like, let's say there's an established national law school like National Law School Bangalore or NUJS, and there's a startup law school like which just started last year. Which one do you prefer? Nobody wants to go to a new law school and struggle, and the future is uncertain. You don't know 6 months down the line Are you going to have a job? Is the company going to remain open 2 years down the line? What is your future like? What are the steps you're going to take as you join this organization forward in your career? Like, what will be your promotion? What roles you will get a few years down the line? Nothing is clear. So, you know, from that perspective, nobody wants to work with a startup really. And when you try to hire your first few people as employers, it might sound like easy. What is the problem? I'll just give money, I'll give good salary, people will come and join. First thing is that most of the time you're not able to offer very good salaries as a startup. Second, even if you are able to offer competitive salaries, still it is really really difficult because you don't know the science of hiring, because you don't know what are the pitfalls of hiring, where the processes go wrong. You know, what are the mistakes people commonly make. You don't know probably because you're just getting started. And all of us have to learn these things over the years. Like, you know, you hire, like I must have hired at least 100 people in my life, maybe more, you know, like for different roles. I started hiring when I was in college. I was having a freelance business, and I needed almost 15 to 20 people every month to work for me part time. And I used to hire mostly my college juniors or batchmates, sometimes even seniors. And uh, that kind of got me started with hiring. And when I started my own organization, I thought I know how to hire, you know. But when I actually started my own organization, I started IP Leaders. It took me 1 year, one solid year to hire my first employee. And it was such a difficult thing. I had money in my bank. I was ready to pay a fair market salary. I had that much money to pay, but I would simply not find someone willing to work at IPDOS for 1 year. And you know, there were a lot of people. By the way, it's not like we're sitting idle and like giving advertisements. We were talking to a lot of people saying that you are looking for a job. People were applying for jobs, and you were saying, "Hey, why don't you come on board? We'll give you equity. We'll give you money, whatever you want. Like, you know, we'll give you freedom to work. Just tell us what you want." People will come for maybe a day or two, and then they will find the work hard and they'll leave. Or somebody will say, you know, I'm going to join you, and next month, and the month comes, nobody is there. Like, nobody turns up, right? We call them, they're like, oh sorry, my father said no. Or like, oh sorry, I got an offer from this big law firm. All sorts of things. Like, we just simply couldn't hire people. Like, you know, it was such a difficult thing. And I think unless you're a funded startup getting a lot of uh, media attention or something, and especially for law firms which are just starting up, it's kind of hard to find your initial employees. Unless you are somebody who's really famous in the legal industry, a lot of people look up to you, people already know you, you have worked with a lot of people who already are familiar with your working style, then it might be a little different. But otherwise, everybody goes through the initial, you know, pangs of hiring. And honestly speaking, there is no success possible even if you do not learn how to hire. I mean, it's something that every entrepreneur, every businessman, everybody has to learn. And there is a whole, like, you know, I would say whole world of subjects, like, you know, how probably we should have a university which teaches us hiring. Literally, it's so complicated, you know, like from finding the right people, to creating a job description, to retaining those people, selecting the right candidates, shortlisting. And probably, you know, this is why HRs are like highly sought after. That you know, you hire HR managers, and headhunting is a huge industry because hiring is so difficult and so critical. People are ready to pay anything for hiring. So I think
Okay.
that's something that I would like to say, that, you know, for a new organization, somebody really starting up, an entrepreneurial person, I mean, how soon they learn learn hiring is like a critical factor.
All right,
And
Ramanuj, you
this is
spoke
something
a
that we want to touch on.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, I'm sorry to
So you
interrupt.
spoke a lot
So you
about
spoke a
your
lot about
initial
your initial
employees.
employees.
So tell us about
So
how
tell
is
us
the
about
first
how
employee
is the
hired?
first
Do
employee hired?
you
Do
hire the
you
first
hire the
person,
first
or
person,
like the
or
head
like
of
the
the
head of the
organization, or do you
organization,
hire
or
a
do you
team
hire a team
member?
member?
How is the first employee of an organization hired?
So it is, you know, when you are beginning an organization, and like, you know, we had like a 3 people founding team, and then we knew pretty much where we need to focus the most. I mean, I think in any entrepreneurial organization, when there's a startup or any sort of beginner organization, you will know, like, you don't hire because, oh, this is how you should be hiring. Like, there's no science of it. It's pretty much like you feel the pain. You're like, oh my God, we need to hire. Like, if we don't hire, we are screwed. I mean, that's the kind of situation. We were also in that kind of situation in terms of creating courses. Like, we had sold courses already, and we had to fast and quickly we had to develop those modules and create high quality modules better than competitors, better than everybody in the market, make it really practical. And we just couldn't find people who can do that. Like, within the founding team we could do it, but we couldn't find people who could come from outside and build that. And then so for us it was not a question of whether to hire a manager or a, probably your first few hires are like, you just hire somebody who can get the job done, because it is so important that somebody takes care of it, and there's nobody to manage. You just hire. However, as you grow older and you have like your first 5, 10, 15 people in place, these questions become highly relevant. Like, so if I have to now create a, let's say I need to create a sales team, or I need to create a marketing team, or I need to create a new team for B2B marketing and sales. Uh, if those are the situations, I will, like really look for hiring the manager first, and then I will let the manager hire his people, because it's a big problem when you have already hired a lot of people and you try to put a manager on top of them. Many of them will reject the manager. They'll not be comfortable with the working style, the rules the manager will want to bring in. It's like a disaster. Like, every time I had an existing team and then I tried to bring a manager on top of that, it was like bloodbath. Okay, some people left, all the manager was defeated and left. Like, something will happen. So it is better, I observe, like, initially probably in the first 3, 4 people you don't have a choice. But after that, once you have the money and you need the manpower, you should probably hire the manager first and let the manager build the team. It is not that you completely leave the manager, hey, you do whatever you want, but you have to be involved in the process. But at the same time, it is much better to let the manager hire the team rather than hiring a team and then tell a manager, hey, can you come and run this? Although that also happens sometimes in startups, inevitably. What happens is that maybe you started a team and you started managing it, and it was fine, but then you need to replace yourself because you need to do something else to grow the company. So you have to hire a manager, but it is something that is, really, really dangerous. Like, whenever you bring in a manager onto the top of a team which is not used to being managed and we have been working independently, there's a huge backlash usually that you experience.
All right. So, speaking of managers and speaking of first employees, it's important in the air that people should hire grade type A professionals initially in the company. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, there are people who have written books on this, and like, all Google founders and like founders of Silicon Valley companies always keep saying that hire people who are better than you or something like that. In my real, even I read those and I was influenced by those when I was trying to hire. Trust me, if I can find people who are better than me, I'll hire them in a heartbeat if they want to join my company. But most of the time, I found that to be impractical. Maybe it is possible for a company flush with funds, but that's like usually quite impractical. Uh, uh, Actually, your screen is moving a lot. Aditya,
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
can follow you if you can. Okay. So I was just saying that it's really I found it to be impractical because firstly, if there are people better than you, why will they join a startup company or a startup law firm? It's really tough to say. It is easy to say, but very difficult to implement. So one, but yeah, like you have to find really good people, and you have to continuously strategize for your organization. Because see, it's one thing that if you want to build a small company and a few people, and you don't want to scale your business, it's one thing. But if you have like you're very ambitious about the future of your company, then success depends on the people that you have in your organization. And for that, if you hire mediocre people, if you hire people who are not performing, it is disaster. It's not going to work. So yes, you need to hire really good people. But you are not going to, like, if you say, oh, I'm going to hire IIM graduates, trust me, it doesn't work. You just cannot simply hire an IIT or IIM graduate and expect they will perform amazingly just because you are paying them a lot of money. It does not happen. Okay. Rather, there are, you have to figure out a mix of training. You have to figure out a mix of standard setting and uh, maybe, like, like, find people who have the hunger, who have the ambition. Maybe they are not getting the right opportunity. So one fantastic thing we found while building this company is that there are a lot of people who are looking for an opportunity. They may not be from the stellar background, like they may not come from a fantastic college, or they may not come from, like, having worked in big companies or famous companies. Maybe they have a gap in their CV or whatever. Like, there are a lot of people who are really good and they're looking for an opportunity, but somehow they are left behind by some circumstances. And, if you can identify those people and go after them, you are likely to have a better result. And then also, you must be prepared to have, like, a good training system in your company. I mean, I can't emphasize more on this. Like, you're not going to find someone who's just cut out for your company and the perfect fit in your role. Sometimes it happens. Like, maybe you are building a law firm which does DRT work. Now there are thousands of lawyers, young lawyers you can find for doing DRT work. Or you are running an LPO and there are 10,000 people working in LPOs, you can hire one out of them. But that is rare. Like, when you're building an entrepreneurial venture, like, I can give you an example. Like, when we are building Click Lawyer, we had to hire some lawyers, and we are stunned how easy it was for us to hire a lawyer for doing legal work, which is normal, right? So you're hiring a lawyer to write legal notices. You're hiring a lawyer to recover money by filing civil suit, summary suit. It's easy. It's really easy to do. Find such people in Bombay, Delhi. You don't have to offer much salary. You can find very good people who are willing to work hard and learn the work. And they are competing with a lot of people. So it's like kind of buyer's market. So if the employer is the buyer of services, then it is a buyer's market. You can easily find lawyers who are ready to work for you and who are very good, and you can be choosy. But let's say, as a company, IP leaders or LawSikho, let's say we need lawyers to do marketing, or we need lawyers to do sales, or we need lawyers to write blog posts. Now nobody graduated out of law college saying, hey, I want to write blog posts when I graduate, or I want to be a legal marketer when I graduate, or I want to be a career coach when I graduate. On the other hand, these are highly rewarding positions, but this is not the normal thought process that people are having out there. Like, so if you are going to hire for such positions, it's going to be way more difficult. You need people who are willing to do it, and then you need to have a training process so that you can train them. So imagine all the people who started the industry in legal hiring, right? Hiring lawyers. So there are several companies now which are working in the domain of lawyer recruitment. When they started, now they had a huge challenge. Should they hire lawyers or should they hire traditional headhunters? Okay, lawyers have better network in the legal industry, but are they willing to do a headhunting job even if they get paid well? Like, if they get paid a lakh rupees a month, are they still willing to do headhunting work? I mean, there are multiple questions, and they had to figure out that, can we hire? Okay, what if we hire lawyers from tier 2 law colleges, or lawyers with 5 years of experience, or freshers? Who should we hire for our company to do headhunting? And they had to crack that formula at some point. And maybe they decided, no, we should not hire lawyers, we should hire freshers from HR background. And it could be anything. The answer is up in the air, and you have to really go through the entire process of trial and failure, you know until you hit something and say, yes, this is going to work. Like, for us, I can tell you, like, when we started our sales process for legal courses, first we started by hiring people who are in transit between, like, they worked in a big law firm or a tier 2 law firm, and they were looking for job, and we will tell them, hey, for the next 3 months, why don't you just, you're taking a break anyway, why don't you just do some sales call for us 2 hours a day? And we did that, but it did not work out long term because we could not find enough people to do that on a consistent basis. They'll come, they'll learn to do the work in 1 month, 3 months, they'll do it, and they'll leave. And then we had to find again and again train. So this process of doing this again and again and again, and in the meantime, our number of leads were increasing. So we, instead of what we could do with 2 people, now we needed 5 people or 10 people, and we could not find so many people who are in transit who are willing to do sales jobs. Then we said, okay, what we cannot do this. This strategy is failing. It is not going to carry us forward. Then we said, okay, can we hire freshers or people with 1 year experience who don't want to practice in the court or don't want to work in a law firm? There are many such lawyers. Can we hire them and train them to do sales? Then we found such people who were willing to do it. Then we worked with many of them over the years. But then we realized that such people are going to leave you in 1 or 2 years if they're not going to stay for a long term. They're not comfortable with targets, because salespeople have to be comfortable with targets. And the sales manager who comes on board is not comfortable working with lawyers, because lawyers are different. So there's one advantage, that lawyers maybe understanding the industry better, able to counsel better, but they're not happy in their heart most of the time doing a sales job. For them, it's a stopgap. Okay, let me learn how to do sales 1 or 2 years, then I will go back to my own profession and apply what I'm learning. That may be one motivation, but beyond that, it doesn't work. Then we realized that, okay, we have to hire people who are from the counseling background, from the sales, educational sales background, and we can train them about law, we can train them about the market, and that is what we are as an organization are learning. So it's a transition we went through, several phases of transition. And every organization has to go through these kind of transitions when they are learning to do sales, because learning to do sales can take years. Like you think you have hit on a formula, and then you realize, no, this formula can carry us till xy, maybe point x, but to get to point y we need a different strategy. So then you relearn everything. And this process for startups, whether you're a law firm or a software company or a product company, whatever it may be, this happens a lot. And it can take a company 5 years, 7 years, 10 years to even get like these processes right and get the right. That is just sales, right? But the same thing can happen for marketing. Same thing happens for R&D. Same for us. Same thing happens for when you're creating new courses. We have gone through such terrible phases where we've hired people and thinking that they'll be able to do certain jobs. Maybe we hired a full team of 3-4 people and it completely flopped. Okay, and it was bad for them, it was bad for us, it was bad for everyone involved. So, but we can't help. Like, this is the nobody knows, right? So now, if you go into the legal hiring industry, there are like 15 companies doing legal hiring. Okay, now if you want to start a legal hiring company, like you want to do legal recruitment, you can just poach somebody. You can give an offer that I want to hire somebody who's working in XYZ famous legal recruitment company and just bring them on board. And it'll be just fine because they know the work, they know the process, they know the standards. But if you are doing a startup, most of the time this may not be an option. You are literally figuring out a new industry, new process, you're creating new job descriptions, literally. So yeah, I mean, that's like the challenge of doing a startup.
So, in those circumstances, approaching headhunters like is a valid option or it's an option at all.
See, I think headhunters bring unique value to the system, like but I think they are more suitable for mature organizations than for startups. Personally speaking, I have never used a headhunter. Many people have approached me, but usually I said no, I will do my own hiring. At least till we have like 50 people, I'm not going to outsource my hiring, because I want to be intimately involved in the process of this, and I have found better ways than hiring through headhunters. And headhunters can work really well when you are hiring, like you're hiring by dozens every month, or you're hiring like 5 people every month. Headhunters work well, but and it works well even for like strategic hiring at a high level positions where you cannot talk openly to the market. But I think even all of that can be done like much better now because of social media. That's exactly, like if you have LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, blogs, these have changed the game. You can really reach out to anybody in the world you want to reach out to, and you can get introductions to anybody you want to get introductions to. You can impress anybody you want to impress. I mean, that is the opportunity that social media has opened for us. And because of that, uh, you know, I think it's a personal choice. If you want to go to headhunters, you can. But so far, I do not go to headhunters. Firstly, I don't need it. If I have a headhunter, I will then hire somebody in house to do the hiring, because I need somebody to. If somebody, let's say, 50 people apply for a position, I don't have the bandwidth to go through each, like the 50 people's profile and give them trial tasks to each of them, and then, like, do a justice to evaluating all of them. Maybe I can do 10, but I cannot do 50. It will be insane. But yeah, if I have a in-house person who's doing hiring, when I have crossed, like, a strength of 20, 30, 40 people, maybe 50, then I will start having somebody in-house to hire, who just runs the process. But beyond that, I think I will be. I mean, in most founder-driven companies, in startup companies, it is very critical that the founders, at least one of the founders, is driving the hiring, because your best resources are the people who are working with you. And if you outsource it, it's like you're not going to outsource your product design, right? You're not going to outsource your the soul of your company. Similarly, I think hiring is like part of the soul of your company. This is what builds your company. And if you start outsourcing it too early, it can be very bad. So I wouldn't advise that. Plus, these headhunter companies usually are very good for big organizations, but they don't know what a startup requires. What you need, they don't understand, and that's like a serious issue here, because they will give you somebody, and it will not fit. And, like, it's a high startup hires are highly risky hires. So it's like, most of the hires will fall through. And honestly speaking, the headhunter companies are not used to working with the kind of odds that we founders of new startups have to work with. So they don't understand, and they are not comfortable with these odds, and they will screw it up. Like, it will not work for them, it will not work for you. So yeah, I mean, that's
Ramanuj,
my
you spoke.
personal opinion on headhunters for startups.
Okay. So Ramanuj, you spoke a lot about that how there are certain people with potential, and but they still don't find the relevant opportunities. A lot of them are freshers. So what do you have to say about hiring freshers in an organization? Because that is something that most of the entrepreneurs and bosses, they don't want to delve into hiring freshers because it's a lot of training. What is your approach towards hiring freshers, and what would you like to tell our audience and entrepreneurs who are watching us live right now?
So I think it's a very pertinent issue about hiring freshers. So most of the people want to hire freshers because it's sort of cheaper to hire freshers, uh, and like it's a risky business. Honestly speaking, hiring freshers is a risky business. Most of the freshers have they study right coming out of the college. They expect the world, like, of what is possible, and they don't have any realistic ideas about what to expect from a job. And I can tell you myself that when I got out of college and I joined my first job at Trilegal, I expected the world. I had no idea what I have to give. I was entitled. I was, like, I didn't give my best. I didn't know how to bring out my best. I didn't know. I was not cooperative with my managers. My the associates were managing me. I was not cooperative with them, and this is and I was like shocked at many things. Like, why should I do this? Why should I do that? And this happens because when people go to college, they have their expectations are blown up a lot of times. They are told, you should expect XYZ big things, uh, but when they graduate and they actually start doing the job, many of those turn out to be false. Like, for example, most lawyers realize when they start working that they don't know much law. They don't know how to do the work that the clients want. They don't know what the law firm or the senior lawyer wants from them. They don't know what the judge actually expects of them. Like, they have to learn things from almost from scratch. They have no practical knowledge, and they really start learning things from the scratch. And if they don't have the right attitude, their expectations are not well adjusted, it's going to be bad for them. It's going to be bad for the company. Like, just to give you an idea, the big law firms who hire a lot of freshers have terrible experience with freshers. Like, even they continue to hire year after year. I'm surprised why they hire so many freshers, because when I joined trilegal, the people who joined with me, there were about like 20, 25 people who joined trilegal at the same time in a batch, right, across different offices. And I don't know about everybody, but in Bombay office, there were 8 of us who joined Bombay office together in a batch from batch of 2011. And and in I also left in a 11 month or so. There are people who left before me. There are people who left like by the time 1.5 year was over. Out of those 8, only 2 were remaining, or maybe 3 at best were remaining in the law firm. And this is not just trilegal, right? This is across the board. So I can tell you there were, like, I remember this data clearly because I studied this data back then. So 32 people from NUJS got day zero jobs, which are like, the top 5 law firms. That time, AZB did not hire anybody from our campus that year, but all there are 5 other big law firms hired, 32 people. And by the end of 1 year, I was the 20th person out of those 32 to leave a big law firm. And by the time, 1.5 years over, there were 5 or 6 of them still left. So out of 32, 5 or 6 were left. So fresher hires fail spectacularly. Like, it's most of the fresher hires fail big time, and this happens not only in big law firms. I have assisted smaller law firms to hire. They hire many of our students and in from LawSikho, from IPDers courses, and this is a recurring experience that fresher hires fail. Like, people leave in 6 months, 1 year, and it's a big loss for the company because they have spent time training you. In the first 1 or 2 or 3 months, sometimes for the first 6 months, in trilegal, they used to tell us that, for the first 6 months, we don't even expect you to be, to do any real performance. After that, maybe in 1 year, you should start performing. And till then, it's like we are subsidizing your training. Okay, so, and that's the reality. It doesn't matter if you're a big law firm, small law firm, company, startup, whatever you may be, that is the experience. Because freshers have to be trained a lot to be able to do the work. And after that, if you're leaving in 6 months, 1 year, it's most of the time not worth it. However, the only reason these firms continue to hire year after year in this process is because those 5 people who are left, maybe they have not left those firms in like 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. They have become partners in those firms or other firms. So those people have, like, really good. So big organizations who can afford to do so hire freshers, and they are ready to go through the churn, and they are ready to make the investment to and lose a lot of investment and then find those few really excellent people. But for startups and new organizations, this may not be a good strategy. However, there is a silver lining. You can hire freshers. What works really well, what has worked for us in the past 7 years is we there are people who intern with us. So they really like us, we really like them. So, and this is how most law firms also hire freshers, by the way. Beyond the top 5, 6 law firms, most of them will hire their interns. We have worked with them for 2 years, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, in some cases 1 year. In case of CLC Delhi, Bombay, GLC, Bombay, other colleges, sometimes people who intern for a year, and by that, in that 1 year, they're trained, or in 6 months, they're trained, or in 3 months, you get to see a person, how they work, everything about them. You get to see whether they are learning fast or not, if they gel with the company culture or not. Then you hire them, and this is a fantastic way. This works excellent for technology across Indian startups and technology companies. Everybody agrees that if you want to hire technology team, one of the best ways to find talented and good developers is to have a fantastic internship program. And at IPDers, we have a very good internship program which helps us to hire many people. Like several of the people who are working with us have been former students or former interns which we actually have seen over a year, and we know them, they know us. There's an existing relationship, there's an existing trust base, and then the hiring becomes easy. Like, it works.
All right. Before we move on to the next question, a quick shout out to all our viewers. If you have any question, you can drop me a text on +91 961 891 0356. I repeat, if you have any questions, please drop a text on 961 891 0356. All right, Ramanuj, after speaking about freshers, I'm really keen to know this because I have a lot of friends who are working in LPOs and they generally find it very difficult to be absorbed in another company. So, what is the general attitude of people in law firms and in organization like yours to hire people from LPOs?
See, like honestly speaking, I have no objection to hiring somebody who has worked in an LPO. Like I'm happy. We like just to give an example, we had at least one of our sales head, and she used to work in an LPO, and then she joined us from a temporary position. She joined us, and she worked with us for 2 years, and did a fantastic work for 2 years, and we are extremely happy. So I think people who has worked in LPOs should not get automatically disqualified. Many of them have extremely good talent. Understood that usually is understandable that they don't have maybe legal work experience. They don't understand how to draft contracts or negotiate contracts or argue a case. That kind of experience they do not have. But many of them, like I was telling you about people from a disadvantaged background, like many people will disqualify them. But if you're willing to hire from them and you have a good selection procedure, then you can really find amazing people from those backgrounds. But yeah, I agree with you that a lot of people have some prejudice against people who work in LPOs. But I think that is changing. I mean, not everybody is like so resistant to hiring people who have worked in LPOs. In fact, people who have worked in LPOs have might have excellent sense of working in a team, excellent corporate ethics because they are trained well by most LPOs in those things, like how to work within an organization, how to collaborate, how to follow a system, how to follow a rhythm of work, how to they are happy if somebody manages their productivity because they're used to those standards. Many other people may be very unhappy with that kind of treatment. Like if you're proactively managing somebody's productivity, many lawyers will not take it in the right spirit, but people from LPO will have no problem with it. So there
All
are
right.
pros and cons. Yeah.
Hi, Imon. We are live and we can see your comment. We will quickly talk about LinkedIn in a bit. However, Ramanuj, I would like to ask you that there are different roles in an organization. And in my opinion, all the roles require a different kind of hiring. So, what is your approach towards that? That for every different role, do you have a different approach to hire? Is there a
Yeah,
standard
see,
plan?
so we were talking like today we were supposed to talk about how to use LinkedIn, and I think this what all that we spoke about were like kind of gave a background to it, but yeah, this question is completely leads up to that, whether on LinkedIn or elsewhere. If you must have a different strategy for hiring different kind of people. Usually a all size one size fits all kind of attitude doesn't work with hiring. And like say for example, you realize that you need to hire a trainer for your company. Okay, somebody who is going to train the sales team, somebody is going to train the marketing team, somebody is going to train different departments of your company. As your company grows bigger, you have such requirements. Or maybe you need to hire a salesperson, or you need to hire a sales manager. Even your strategy for hiring a sales manager and a salesperson will not be the same. It cannot be the same. Okay, if you're hiring a manager, probably you're looking at somebody who has worked in a similar industry, has 10 years of experience or at least 5 years of experience, and has different kind of roles. On the other hand, if you're hiring a salesperson, you are happy to hire a fresher or you're happy to hire somebody with 2 3 years of experience. And these people are like where you find them, how you treat them, how you have a conversation with them, what you ask them in the interview, everything is different. And honestly speaking, a manager would be looking at different kind of opportunities than a salesperson will. And if you want to hire marketing people, there are different platforms, different groups, different type of messaging is required. And for if you're going to hire salespeople, they respond to a totally different kind of language, different kind of messaging. So absolutely, you need different kind of strategy. Like just to give you a real example, uh, if I want to hire people who are going to do front end or back end designing or back end development for my uh, for my tech team, I cannot I cannot hire the way I hire my salespeople, or the way I hire my salespeople and the where I give the advertisements. I cannot do the same for marketing. Like for example, Indeed.com, which is a fantastic place to hire if you're looking for people from sales background, but it's not going to work if you want to hire people for marketing on Indeed.com. It just doesn't work. It's an experiential truth that we have experienced. So, these are the things that you learn as you go on. I cannot elaborate on this. We need a full webinar on, to discuss what strategy to take for each different people. But yeah, I think like discrimination is necessary here in terms of what strategy is going to apply. You need to figure out strategy for each kind of people you need to hire.
All right. Ramanuj, I think one of the major issues that most of the entrepreneurs face these days, or the recruiters face these days, is of churning. People join and people leave the minute they get a better opportunity or for any reason whatsoever. And at the same point of time, all the training that goes into that person or the role that is developed for that person, it suffers a lot. So, how do you stop that? How do you stop people from leaving your
So
organization?
I think we are at a time and place where you cannot expect that a person will join your company and work for like 10 years or 15 years or till they retire. It's not going to happen. There may be some people who do that, but today, like the younger generation especially, they want to explore. They want to do one role, succeed at it, and they'll be like, oh, I am successful, so let me try something different. They even shift industries. They even shift like completely functions. And somebody who was doing marketing might say, you know what, I want to do something else now. I want to do stand-up comedy maybe. And like people are just shifting, and it's going to happen. Like when I was in a law firm, I saw how much churn is happening. Maybe 30% people are leaving the firm. Some firms even 50% people leave in a single year. Okay, and I used to think this is bad, but I realized that this is the reality. You have to build your business around this. So today in IPDers, we don't have a huge churn, but maybe we have 20% churn per year. Okay, now I have accepted that maybe people are going to work for 1 year. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 year or 2 year, and they're going to leave. There's not much I can do about it. So I should focus that people should not leave earlier. People are leaving in 3 months, 4 months. It's a problem. Like, let us build a system where they're going to work for at least a year, or they're going to work for 2 years. That is fantastic. Like, but that means that we need to have a very strong training program. Like, if people join for any function, they should be quickly trained, and we should be able to download a lot of wisdom and necessary skills quickly, rather than over a long period of time. We cannot wait for 3 months. If you are just going to have someone in your company for 1 year, you can't afford to train them for 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. Then it's not going to work. So you figure out how can you train them and make them productive faster. So these are the challenges. If you figure out and you accept the reality that churn is going to be there, then I think you find the solutions that save you in the end of the day.
All right. Ramanuj, when I was looking for my first job or second job for that matter, I did a lot of research about the organization that I was planning to get into. And a lot of us do that.
Yeah.
So when somebody is looking for your organization online, or when somebody is trying to figure out the research about your organization, so what should you do to ensure that people are getting the right and relevant information to take up a certain role?
So, well, like I was telling you, in the first year of our trying to find employees, and even after that, I was completely like at a loss. Like, what the hell do I do to get the right people, right? And it went on for like 3 years. Probably it was real tough for us to find the right people. So I had asked certain people. One of them was Samir Guglani of Morpheus Gang, who has been involved in growth of many amazing companies, and he gave me a fantastic advice, which till today has worked well for me. He said that Ramanuj, you must share your vision of your company, the story of your company, what you are building, what kind of culture you want to build, what kind of products you want to build, what you are passionate about. These things you must start communicating. You can communicate through your blog. You may communicate these things through a platform like Facebook or LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is fantastic for this. So you start sharing about your company, about your vision, about your maybe the kind of law firm you want to build and what makes you unique. What do you see as the future of the legal industry? these kind of things has to be you start publishing, writing about these things. Now you should publish it where your target audience is going to be. So if your blog has your target audience, you publish there, or anyway publish on your blog, because people who research about you, they maybe, they will come to your website and they'll see your blog and they'll see what you've written. So that is useful. Or you can write about these things on LinkedIn as status messages regularly, and keep writing. Like if you're going to hire for maybe machine learning, and that is the industry you are in, then write about machine learning and what are the challenges, what challenges you are solving, why you believe machine learning is the future, what kind of people do well in machine learning according to you. Keep sharing, and who's your best programmer, why is he so good. Things about your company that shows off who you are, what your company is, what you stand for, what you're passionate about. Start sharing all these things on LinkedIn, and it's really great. Like, once you do that, the right kind, you'll start attracting the right kind of people towards you. There are people, it's difficult to believe, but there are people who want to be like you, the people who want to do what you are doing, and who are inspired by what you are talking about. So I think this is very critical. You must uh, understand that, and cater to that. Once you do that, the right kind of people will themselves come to you and start writing to you. Just to give an idea, like an example of this, like our current sales head, who has completely transformed the sales in the last 1 year, Ratul Rudra. So he was a student of our course, and then he started writing our blog. Then he followed us on LinkedIn, and then he got convinced. He was working in a Swiss Re, which is a big MNC, one of the big MNCs. He was working in a compliance role, in a very senior role. And he used to do education sales 10 years back. Okay, and he said, I want to get back to education sales, and I believe that IPRS is the kind of company where I want to work, because from he had 20 years of experience and he could pretty much get a job anywhere. Like, I do not even try to hire people like him because they are not going to join me. But when he read this and he connected with the company and he did a course with us and he liked what he sees in our email, then he was connected with the company and he wanted to work with us, which is why we were able to hire him. So there are many stories like this. Maybe Aditya, you yourself wouldn't join us if you did not connect with the company. So I think that's important. And the founders' profile, their Twitter, their Facebook, their company's blog, the founders' blog, all these places must reflect that enthusiasm, the passion for the work. Then the other passionate people will come and join you. And I want to say one more thing. Like, this is a fantastic way of attracting the right talent rather than offering money. Like, let's say you want to attract high quality people, and you start offering more salary and you start offering more perks. Maybe you offer, like, a basketball court in your office, or maybe a table tennis board, or I don't know, like free food or whatever. If you massage, like, I have personally tried this, and when we did that for hiring, we hired the wrong kind of people. The wrong kind of people came and joined our company. It doesn't work. What works much better is when you are attracting people with what you're passionate about. You ask other passionate people to come and work with you. That works well. People will, maybe you're doing really high quality work and you share that, and people can see, wow, you're making really high quality amazing softwares, you are making really high quality courses, and you're all about building something amazing. Then there are people who want to build amazing things, people who are interested in quality, interested in doing great work. They'll come and join you even at a lesser salary. And this is something very interesting. Like, there's a very successful startup of our time called Policy Bazaar, and the founder was sharing what is his hiring strategy. They have like they have thousands of people, and their hiring strategy will be to hire people at a 5% lower salary. Like, usually with a hike, if you join another job, he'll hire people at a lower salary, and he will say that we'll, depending on your performance, will increase your salary. Even at IP leaders, we do the same. We don't offer, like, we never hire people at a big hike and all of that. We don't care. We want passionate people who are not here only for the money. Of course, you want to pay well, but you come here, do good work, prove it, and you are doing the work which is worth it, will increase your salary. And that has been our approach. which I think is critical to attract the right talent rather than people who are just looking to jump companies and they care more about the money and less about the work. I mean, at least that is how my limited thought process on this is, that I want people who come to my company for the kind of work we are doing because they are passionate, not because of any other reason.
All right, Ramanuj. All right, so let's quickly move to the section that a lot of them have been waiting for, a lot of our viewers have been waiting for. Let's talk about recruiting through LinkedIn. How can we specifically use LinkedIn to attract the right kind of talent, to recruit the right kind of talent?
You might say that we have not been talking about hiring on LinkedIn, but in my opinion, whatever we have said is the build up to how to
Yes,
hire on LinkedIn. If you don't get these
definitely.
things right, then you will not get hiring on LinkedIn right at all. But if we come down to the nuts and bolts of how to hire on LinkedIn, uh, step one is to add the relevant people. And by the way, you can add up to 30,000 people on your LinkedIn. I don't recommend that you add all 30,000, then you cannot add any more. Maybe you get some quality contacts, you won't be able to add them later. But so I have about 22,000 people on my LinkedIn profile, which I find is like really, very useful for me, because I treat many people say that, if I don't know you personally, I will not add you on LinkedIn. But I don't agree to that. For me, I find that it is extremely good if I hire people who are so if I add people who are I am going to hire eventually, or they are in the right category where I want to hire, so I'll add those people. Just to give you an example, let's say I want to hire a designer, okay, for my company. What I'll do is that I will add 50 to 100 designers on my LinkedIn, okay, and then I will, like, some of, maybe if I add 100 people, maybe 30, 40, 50, 60 of them will add me back, right? So I have these 50, 60 people on my LinkedIn now who are uh, potentially like designers. Now I know that most of them I cannot afford, or maybe I cannot hire them. They're already working in great jobs. They don't want to be hired. So, okay, I am not going to message them and say, hey, I want to hire you or something. That's not my strategy. So after this, what I'll do is that I will start sharing about my company's design problems. Okay. Or we will talk about, I will share some amazing articles I got influenced about design by, or I will share my thoughts on a certain design. And I start posting these things once a day, twice a day, maybe thrice a week, whatever is the frequency possible for me. I will start sharing. And after I share, these people I have added on my platform will start responding and start, interacting with my posts, right? They will also have some things to add, comments to make, things to like, and all of that. Now, once I engage them maybe for a couple of weeks, maybe sometimes even a month, after that, I'll put out a call saying that I am hiring a designer. Do you know anybody that you can tag on my platform, or tag on my status message? So then, so I will give the job description a little bit. I will mention the place. I'll mention the salary range I'm looking for. Now, let's say I'm trying to hire a designer for 30,000 a month, and the people I have added, they're already earning maybe 80,000, 1 lakh per month. So they are not going to accept my offer, natural, right? But I will also mention that please tag people you know who might be interested in an opportunity like this. So those people will start tagging people who they know might be interested in my job. So they will start tagging those people, and many of them will then message me in LinkedIn and add me on LinkedIn, and then we start. And the next process, what I do is that I will give them a trial task, and I will see the kind of quality they have in their trial task, or how fast they do it, how good they are in communication when they're doing the trial task, and of course the quality of the work. And then based on that, I hire. And honestly speaking, often sometimes I have to go through, like, 30 people. If I talk to 30 people and ask for trial task, maybe 5 will come back, or 7 will come back, or 10 will come back at best with a work that I can even review. And then after I review, I might end up with one or two that I like. So that's a common thing. Like, if you go through 50 people, you end up with like 3 or 5 at best. And that's how I go about hiring on LinkedIn. And I must say that I wish I knew this process earlier. Then I would have been hiring would have been much easier for me, and it is very easy for me right now. Honestly, the number of quality leads we get, the number of quality people who show interest in our jobs is fantastic. There was a time when uh, we couldn't find anybody good to join us, and from there we are in a situation that we get so many good people, we almost like bite our fingers that, oh shit, we cannot hire this person, although this person is so good, we don't have a position available. So this is a shift we have experienced after the learnings that I shared, and of course the LinkedIn process that I shared.
All right.
So if I
Ramanuj,
break it down simply, Aditya, it's very simple. You add people on your LinkedIn, unknown people, of course. Some of them will add you, some of them will not add you, but you should get, like, if you're trying to hire a person, maybe 50, 60, 100 people you should add who add you back. And after that, you engage with them by posting relevant content about their area of work. If it is sales, then you write about sales. If you are talking about marketing, you talk about marketing and you post those things, and naturally those people start engaging with you. And then when they engage with your post, their friends also get to see what they are liking or commenting on sharing. And when that happens, your reach in that community of, or in that particular group of people increase. And then you put out a call for job, and then ask people to write to you inside LinkedIn mailbox. Don't give them phone number, don't give them email. You'll not be able to manage. Just tell them inbox me inside LinkedIn. So they will come and inbox you in the LinkedIn, give them trial task. After you see a trial task, you will get to know who you should hire. And another thing I must say, that if you do not write like someone's trial task, don't hire them. I used to be the fool who used to think that, it's okay, they're just beginning. I'll train them and they'll become good eventually. It never happened. In 3 years of trying this, it has never happened that I did not like someone's trial task, but they turned out good later on. And I made a number of mistakes. So I can safely say to anybody who's interested in my advice that do not hire somebody after giving a trial task if you do not like their work.
all right. Ramanuj Harpreet Kaur, and I'll be taking a little shift from the topic today because a lot of people are interested to know that how should the people who are getting recruited showcase their LinkedIn profile, or what you as an entrepreneur probably looks at a LinkedIn profile and
Yeah.
perceive the LinkedIn profile as to hire somebody. So, what
So
are the
I think
pointers
it
for people who are
works.
looking forward to get recruited?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I think it works both ways for people who are looking to get employed and people who are looking to find employees. For both of them, it's the same. It is about how many people trust you on LinkedIn, how many people see you on LinkedIn, how many people trust you, like how many people enjoy your content. LinkedIn is a content game. So all you need to do is you need to publish content that people read and engage with. So if you can do that, it works. Just for an example, if I am looking to hire, uh, let's say CTO, I'm looking to hire a CTO, or I'm looking to hire, uh, a programmer who can develop artificial intelligence. Okay, these are, by the way, the most difficult to hire, categories. Now, if you are doing that, then what I will be doing is that I will write contents that CTOs will like, that they want to hear, or they will get value out of, and I will write those contents and publish on LinkedIn. Okay, and then they will come and see, and then I might get like couple of CTOs who know me well or who have worked with me in the past, or somebody who likes me, appreciates me. I'll go and request them, hey, can you write some good reviews about me? If they write some couple of nice recommendations on LinkedIn for me, it will go a long way in convincing other CTOs that I understand how to work with CTOs and what kind of person I am, and that will make them want to work with me. Similarly, if you are an employee and you're looking for employment, then a great idea. Let's say you are looking to work in a law firm that does private equity. So find private equity lawyers who are willing to give you a recommendation. Now I don't know why that will happen. It can happen because you have written some fantastic articles. Maybe you have helped them to research. Maybe you have, I don't know, they're just friends with you, so they're willing to give you a good review. Whatever it is, get it on your this thing on your LinkedIn. Then add the people who are into the private equity industry, add them on your profile, and start posting content which is related to the private equity industry that those people find valuable and interesting, and they will start engaging, they will start talking to you. That is how you can quickly, within a month, you can build a solid network in LinkedIn. And many people have done this. You must be seeing on your profile, there are people who are like regularly coming up on your feed with like 50 likes, 100 likes. They are constantly talking about one single thing. And many people are following them and commenting them, and they have huge number of followers. So people are doing this in LinkedIn, and it really works at the moment. I don't know if this will continue. This used to work on Facebook and doesn't work anymore, but it still works in LinkedIn, and it works beautifully on LinkedIn. So, I will suggest that while the sun shines, you got to make the best of it, and do that. Like, publish content. LinkedIn is about content. You publish high quality insights, content, good good videos. Also, maybe you can take somebody else's video and post if you cannot do anything else. But as you keep posting and you engage with the target audience, so if you're looking for a job in private equity, your target audience are law firm partners in private equity, or maybe private equity investors. They are your target market. You need to impress them. So if they're impressed with your content, they will want to interact with you. Then you can message them, you can privately talk to them. Many things are possible once you have impressed them. So I'll not go there, but yeah, but you have to build those connections and network primarily.
All right. Harveer, I hope that answer your questions. So, Ramanuj, what should be the ideal duration of a recruiting process? Like, how long would you take to recruit a personnel on your team?
So there are two factors that determines this. So one is how important the job is, how long should the trial task take, what is at stake. Like, for example, if I'm hiring a CEO for one of my companies, then I will totally have a different approach. The process may be as long as 6 months or 1 year, it may take. But if I'm hiring a salesperson or I'm hiring a content writer, it is much faster. There are some jobs which are difficult, like content marketing and IP leaders is a difficult job. Uh, so for that, it takes me anywhere between 1 month to 2 months to hire somebody. For sales, it could be like from the time of first contact to hiring could be as short as 1 week or 5 days, 3 days sometimes. But I think a week would be like more likely. Uh, if I'm going to hire somebody in technology team, it would be long because I want them to do a project with me first and then evaluate them and then hire them. Uh, I can't do the evaluation myself, so our tech head will do that, but it's a longer process. So it depends on how critical the job is, how easily replaceable the person is. I mean, this is how uh, I will decide how long I will take to make a hire.
All right. Ramanuj, HRs these days put a lot of concentration on onboarding processes. They think it's pivotal for retaining talent in the company.
So you
So,
cannot do hiring without onboarding. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but these two are like Siamese twin brothers. One comes with another. So if you don't have one, if you kill one, the other will die. It's literally like this. So if you are doing hiring, but you do not have an onboarding process, then you might as well not hire, because people will come and get disappointed and they will leave, or they will fail at their job. So it's terrible. Like, before hiring, you need to have your onboarding process in place. And I am saying this like a saint right now, but I can't tell you how many times I have made this mistake of not having an onboarding process before hiring. And now it is very simple for me. If it is a new JD that nobody has ever done, then I have to do that, or somebody else responsible, like somebody senior in the organization, has to do it successfully, himself or herself, to the T. Like, you have to do everything like that a person is going to do in that job. Once we do it, we will codify it into a job description, and there must be metrics. So, for example, if I hire a let's say a manager for HR manager, right? So there has to be a clear metrics for what that person has to deliver, what would be the incentives, what would be their daily recurring responsibility, or weekly or monthly recurring responsibility. Until that is not clear, there is no hiring. If you hire without that, then you are on the road to disaster basically.
All right. Again, Ramanuj, I will go a little off track. Received a text message a few minutes ago, and somebody has asked that if somebody is graduating from a law school and wants to get into entrepreneurship, from the hiring aspect, what are the core concentration areas that one must focus on?
Okay, so if you are graduating out of law school and you are being an entrepreneur, yeah. So I mean, that's a tough spot to be in because most of your contemporaries and your peers are trying to figure out how to get hired, and you are trying to figure out something much more difficult, which is how to hire someone. And you have taken up a tough job for yourself. I have gone through it myself. So I would say that your best bet are the people who you know well, your friends who already trust you, who have faith in you. Those kind of people are most likely to get hired. That is one. Second category, and by the way, it can completely go backfire also. Like people who already know you, trust you, may say that what the hell, I don't want to be hired by you because you're not bigger than me that like I will work for you. Those ego things can also come into play. But uh, one thing that I will strongly recommend that you should check out people who are, and this work fantastic for IPers. You should check out people who are like looking for a break in their career. Okay, like there are people who are not getting any jobs because of some problem. Okay, it could be somebody who has not graduated but need a job. Okay, so most companies will not even look at their profile, but they may be very energetic, fantastic people, like right people who are drop out from college for some reason. Maybe they dropped out from school also, and somehow they couldn't you know finish their college, right? And you should totally look for such people, and you will find talented people amongst them who will be able to do a great job. Another extremely uh, good pool of talent that you should explore are work from home moms. So these are people who want to work remotely. They cannot come to your office and work, but they might be highly trained, highly good quality people who need to stay at home to work with. Like they need to be with their children, but they cannot come to an office. However, if you give them an opportunity, maybe they can work for 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, sometimes 8 hours a day, full time they'll work, and they'll do a fantastic job. I think these kind of people you must explore when you are having trouble in hiring, finding the people who are not. It's not easy for you to hire, right? Similarly, you should be open to hiring people who are untrained. Maybe they don't know how to speak English, but they can do something for you which is very valuable for you. Maybe they can vet your agreements very well. Maybe they can do research for you. I don't know what it could be, but there are different jobs and different roles. So look for those people. When we had to figure out, like we needed a manager for our content R&D team. So there are people who are researching content and researching on new courses we should create and designing those courses. And we needed somebody who can manage them. And what would you think? Maybe you need to hire somebody who's a really talented lawyer who knows the law. But we tried hiring such people and they couldn't do the job. Finally, we realized that somebody who has worked in an LPO, who has managed a team in an LPO, is excellent at this work. And that's crazy, right? You'll never think that it is so, but it is. Like they turned out to be excellent managers in our company when it comes to managing the R&D team process, because they have worked with processes, they are familiar with the law, they're familiar with process, they're familiar with managing a team. So a team leader, not even a team leader, usually a manager from an LPO is fantastic for this job. So you have to keep your mind open as to you'll find the talent in most unlikely places, a good fit in most unlikely of places, and you must look. And this search is what takes the lifeblood out of the founder. But it's literally something you have to do. Like there is no shortcut for this, unfortunately. One
Ramanuj, you spoke
good thing that works
recently.
for me is talking to other founders and taking their advice on what kind of people will be a good fit. Like maybe there's a job for which an accountancy student or an accountancy intern will be a great fit, but you don't know because you have never seen such people. But if you go and talk to other founders, they might be able to give you the solution as to what kind of people you should hire. That is a good tip I can share.
That is great. Ramanuj, you spoke about women who are working from home, homemakers, mothers, who can be very good for a specific role. So, what are the challenges in remote hiring? Because I'm sure there must be many. So, what are the basic challenges and how do you overcome them in hiring remote
So
people
to
who are
be
based out of their home?
I got the question. To be honest, in my opinion, hiring people remotely forces you to be very focused, forces you to come up with metrics because, uh, you know, there is a tendency that if you're going to the office, you have given your attendance, so you're sitting through the day in the office, so the office has to pay you. Or even as an entrepreneur, you might become lazy. Okay, somebody has come to office, they'll figure out what they have to do. And I have done that scene many a times in my life that, oh, I hired somebody very intelligent, they'll figure out what to do. But it doesn't happen. But when you are giving people work from home, you know that you are not going to see them sitting in the office. So if all day they do nothing, also you'll not come to know that they didn't do anything. So you are forced to come up with a metric, some measurement, some solution for this. Okay, even the other person knows that nobody sees me working. So if I don't deliver, my job won't be existing tomorrow. Right? It's very clear, black and white. So it's very good. The challenges I would say of hiring people remotely is less. Uh, there are a few very few things that cannot be done remotely these days, especially for online companies, startups, even law firms. I think have begun to explore remote employees, and it's a good idea. It's an excellent idea. People have to have clear deliverables also. As long as you have clear deliverables and clear standards. One thing is difficult, that training people remotely is difficult. That you need to have a solution. How you're going to train your people remotely, how you're going to give them feedback loop quickly, all of that has to be figured out. But once you figure that out, honestly speaking, at iPleaders, we have 3 offices, 4 offices in 3 cities, to be honest. And we have at least 6, 7 people, which is like almost 20 25% of our workforce who are working remotely from their home. We don't even see them. Like we see them once a year if we travel to that city. They don't come anywhere. We don't go and meet them. They don't come to any of our offices. It works beautifully. Like some of our longest serving people who are handling like leadership positions in the company work from home. And I think it's absolutely a fantastic model to explore for,
All right.
especially for startups and new organizations.
All right, Ramanuj. This brings us to the end of our an hour with LawSikho. Any last tips to give to all our viewers?
Yeah. So one thing I want to share is that this is something that we have been looking forward to doing for a long time. Today was the first session, and unfortunately, we started very late, and we are finishing late. I apologize to all of you on behalf of LawSikho. Uh, However, definitely we have learned a lot. Like a startup organization, we have learned a lot from today's session about what not to do, and you can expect us to be on time from the next session, and without any technical glitches. And uh, and really look forward to having you in these sessions. And please pour in your suggestions even for topics, or suggestions, your questions, your recommendations for people you want to see in these sessions, and we will invite them. You can introduce us to people that you would want us to interview on an hour with LawSikho. And we are looking for a fantastic long journey on an hour with LawSikho with all of you. Really looking forward. And thank you for being with us. Thank you for trusting us and giving us your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ramanuj, for today. And for all of you who are watching us, join us tomorrow for yet another conversation with Mohana Thakur, who is a graduate from a non national law university and who will be talking about the challenges of non national law university and how to overcome them. I am Aditya, reporting from LawSikho, only on an hour with LawSikho. Please like, share, and subscribe, and keep press the bell icon for more updates. We will be coming every day from 8 to 9 straight from here. Signing off, this is Aditya, out LawSikho.
Thank you. Bye.